Hey y'all, welcome back to the ranch. I'm Jared Paul, and today I'm getting to the majority of my plant things that I'll be pruning for the last time before the end of the season. Before it gets cold, they go into dormancy and lose their leaves, so I'm hoping to get some nice muscular growth from this pruning. So I did sweet birch earlier. If you missed that video, you could check that out. But right now, I'm going to get to my blueberry bonsai, which luckily enough had a maple tree volunteer itself and it's growing up alongside of it. So I might not prune the maple, but we'll get to that. We'll take a look at it. So that's what's coming up on today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. All right, y'all. So I have this in a nice deep pot because originally it came as like a nursery reject. Oh, we got some ants up in here. It came as a nursery reject, and it was just this one little skinny piece, and it may be divided into these two, but I really think it was just that one little skinny piece, and it was like, for them, unsellable. So I got it for free, and it has not produced any blueberries. Jeez, there's ants all over it. I mean, I'm an ant fan, but come on. So we have a nice little gnarly trunk starting here, nice and woody, comes up here and splits, and then these two here are new growth from this year. So you can see that. They're young and green, but they grew very muscularly. And then off to the side here, I think I've pruned this one time. This is a little baby maple. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the canopy on the maple, and I'm probably going to remove both this one and this one. You know, I'll remove this one entirely, and then I'll prune this one back pretty much where I pruned it last time. And we'll continue to develop that as like a nice low split trunk. It's starting to get woody here, so, you know, I don't want to waste what I've done. Worst case is it provides a lot of growth to the trunk, gives me that nice taper, and this becomes the whole tree, you know, moving down further down the line. This is, you know, it's second, maybe third pruning since I've had it. 2-3 years, just maybe a year or so old when I got it. So, looking at a 5-year-old tree. Okay, so we'll just take this off here. I'll leave one node of leaves and a little room for dieback, because I can see here that dieback. I don't know, 2/3 of an inch, a couple of centimeters. A few people on the metric system. 2.54 centimeters per inch. Something I remember from grade school. I'm weird with math. I'm like, I could pretty much do the majority of math in my head, and the teachers used to hate me. They're like, well, how did you get there? I'm like, it doesn't matter. I got it. I didn't do it your way. It doesn't matter how I got it. I got it. I didn't have the calculator. You know, you weren't allowed those earlier on, right? Oh man, I think I broke one of my teachers, Mrs. Lozito, just because I refused. I did no homework, and I would not participate in class. I would not show my work. I was just being a total ass, which my dad always wished 3 kids on me, like myself, so that I would know what it was like. But I just got one, my beautiful ballerina daughter, Franny, who is extremely rebellious and strong-headed, challenges everything, which, you know, as a person I respect. As her father, it's annoying as hell. So this actually has a lot of branching going on, so I'm going to take out any new branches and just leave like the 3 or 4 that already exist, because they're looking pretty good. I'm going to pump out a bunch of videos today. Plane going overhead. I had I went straight through 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. this morning, which, you know, it's only 5 hours of work, but when you're working with people and their issues and all that, like, you need a lot of time to be pensive, to think about like what you can do and suggest and coach throughout the week until the next time you see them. A lot of people I see every day, but if I don't see them every day, like, there's a lot of, you know, work that I give them to do between sessions. And, you know, I'm not being dramatic or anything, but like, when you take on other people's problems, you have to process them yourself and then come back to them. And that's how you can really help people as a therapist. You know, if you just give like the knee-jerk, like stupid, cliche responses that they could read in a magazine, your worth isn't going to be there, and they're not going to come back to you. They're not going to trust you. You have to be a real person. All right, so I have this broken down basically to its core branches that it's been developing. I took out like new branches, any inward growth. And I'll take out this dead spot I left from last time. It's like we have a little double apex here. So it splits early on, and then we have a split here at the top. I'll give you a close-up of the actual tree afterwards. So we took out the dead stuff from last time here, brought this down. There are a couple of ugly branches that were older. I'm just trying to get rid of those. A lot of this I left just because it was really weak looking, and I didn't want to prune it hard back and lose it. So now that it's actually grown in very nicely, I could prune it more for shape. Like, there were some branches that were literally L-shaped. You might have seen I took one of those off earlier. It was rough, but I hung with it because it was one of the strongest branches. A few growing back towards it I'm going to take out. Man, ceiling. See, this is pretty much what I was just talking about. Like, in this case, I like this branch, but the only thing growing off it is growing back and towards everything else, which is not what I would like in the future. But I'll wait and see if I can't get in and kick off here, which will be established by, you know, the energy from this branch. Yeah, I think that's it. Starting to take some nice shape. I'll get in here a little closer. So as you see, we got the nice little woody, flaky trunk coming. So it's very tree-like for what would normally be a bush. This nice little blueberry. It is a BlueBerry vaccinium Blu-ray. And then we have this nice local maple. See it split in there. We have a nice branch coming off there and there. And the trunk, it's pretty much straight up, but it's thickening, and it's definitely thicker at the bottom, which I can work with. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai, y'all. There's probably going to be at least one more coming out. I have my pencil cactus that I have to repot, and I'm going to pick some tomatoes. Laura's going to make some homemade tomato sauce, some marinara. Beautiful. Anyways, that was the world's worst Italian accent. I succeeded in that. Hopefully you enjoyed this pruning. You know, if you have an extra blueberry that's one that doesn't produce, you know, a whole bunch, why don't you think about making it into a bonsai? It's been a lot of fun. So that's what's going to do for it for today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. I'm Jared Paul. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Take care, y'all.